Settle in, each of us in our own space, arriving to whatever physical spot feels good for you in this moment. And once you are there and you're feeling grounded, just allow your eyes to gently close or allow your gaze to cast down so that you're not really focused on anything externally, but rather turning your focus internally. And as you've settled, start to connect to your breath. Just give yourself a beautiful pace of breath that honors exactly what you need right now. Depending on what's been going on in your house tonight, what went on in your weather today, both the real weather and the weather of your regular everyday path. Again, just find a rhythm of breath that honors where you are right now. And notice how quickly, when you focus your attention on the breath, how everything returns to this even spot. It's not perfect, it's not without flaw, but there is this evenness to it that gives us comfort, gives us calm. And as we're settling, our focus for these few minutes, as we're on this path of the Yoga Sutras, is Yoga Sutra 121. I love this translation of it as it says, our progress in this practice is determined by the rate at which we practice and the joy that we bring to that practice. And so I'm going to say that again and just think about this word rate as you hear it again and see what you picture when I say that. Our progress with this practice is determined by the rate at which we practice and by the joy that we bring to this practice. And oftentimes people will ask, how often do I need to do this? How many minutes? How many times a day, a week, a month? And at what point will I start to feel something different? But I think what Patanjali was saying in these words, in this English translation that we have of it, this idea of the rate, what he means is with consistency. He doesn't have a measurement that we have to try to meet. He doesn't have a certain number of minutes that we're trying to work toward. I truly believe that what he intended with that was that it needs to be consistent. Think about as you're driving your car and you put it on cruise control and you just seem to feel this, again, evenness as you're driving. You're not going too fast, you're not going too slow. You've set a pace that is consistent and that feels right for you in that moment. The same thing can be said about our meditation practice. There's an evenness when there's consistency. And again, I can't tell you how often and when and what that looks like, but I know you can feel it in your soul when you've consistently made an effort. And the other thing I would say is sometimes when we think about the consistency of showing up, we think it has to look a certain way and that we have to wait until we get home to our special cushion, our certain spot. But all you've got to do is pause. Just as you've done today, closing your eyes, letting the external distractions go. And your meditation practice comes to that moment as well. And there you find consistency. You find the rate that's just what you need. But beyond that, I think the most important part of that sutra is the second part. He said our practice is determined by the joy that we bring to it. I know a lot of people show up for meditation, not necessarily here with us, but just this concept of it across the globe, because they're hoping to get some joy and some peace to take away from the practice. But Patanjali tells us we got to come with the joy. We got to come with the consistency. And that's where we'll find the evenness, the calm, the stillness that this practice brings. And so let's just pause for a second. Not to evaluate, but just to reflect. What has your rate, your consistency looked like lately? And not just the moments that we show up here collectively or when you show up in other spaces, but all those other minutes of your day. What has it looked like? And then reflect, how intentional have you been about bringing joy to your practice? And for some of us, maybe that's the first time we've ever considered that. We're waiting for the joy to come during the practice so we can take it away into our lives. But what if we brought the joy to the practice? And I know what some of us are thinking. Some days are just hard, and the very best I can do is to show up. And I can't always conjure up a bunch of joy inside, but I do show up. And I would tell you that if that is what your practice looks like today, that's what it needs to look like today. And then over time, you'll begin to cultivate something else. So don't hesitate to show up just because you can't quite find the joy. I would encourage you to show up anyway. Pause anyway. So I'd like to take us through some breath work that I think will help us to find this pathway to joy. It doesn't have to do with the happiness that we're feeling. It doesn't have to do with life going a certain way. Joy is deeper. Joy is bigger. And I'd like us to use our breath to find our way to joy. So then maybe before we show up next time, we'll work on cultivating the joy and we'll bring it with us. So let's just start to breathe together. First, just take a long, slow breath in. And then a full breath out. A long breath in. And a full breath out. And then we're going to go through just some breathing in and breathing out to allow us to embrace the joy. Don't attach it to a situation, to a person, or to a relationship. Let it be something you feel right in the depths of your being. So breathing in, I experience joy in my breath. Breathing out, I experience joy in my breath. Let's do it again. Breathing in, I experience joy in my breath. Breathing out, I experience joy in my breath. Before we go on to the other few things, I'd like us just to maybe repeat in our heart, in our mind. Let's just pause and think about that for a second. How can our breath not bring us joy? It signifies that there is life within us, that we get to be a part of this present moment. We get to make a connection and contribution to this world right now. So how can there not be joy in the breath? Just think of what it represents within you and within me. Now let's take it beyond the breath and just kind of start to notice, what do you feel in your physical self? Where are the spots that might be a little tense? Where are the spots that feel relaxed? Where are the spots that we often ignore? We try to push down, not pay attention to. And let's try to bring joy there. So breathing in, I experience joy in my body. And breathing out, I experience joy in my body. Breathing in, I experience joy in my body. And breathing out, I experience joy in my body. And I want to pause with that one, just like we did with the first one, and recognize that some of us physically are hurting. We have spots in our body that seem like they're fighting against us. Some of us have pain that seems pretty consistent, always there. But even within that, I think we can find joy. Because this body is this vessel that houses our soul. It's more than just tight hips. It's more than just pain in your spine. It's more than just tension in your jaw. It is this vessel that houses your spirit and your soul. So let's try it again. Breathing in, I experience joy in my body. Breathing out, I experience joy in my body. Now let's take it to another spot. Let's just pause and each of us just notice, what are those mental formations that are going on in your head? What are the distractions that are trying to come? What are the thoughts or the tapes that just keep replaying over and over? Just check in with your mind and recognize what's there. Witness it, be aware of it. And then let's breathe. Breathing in, I experience joy in my mind. Breathing out, I experience joy in my mind. Breathing in, I experience joy in my mind. Breathing out, I experience joy in my mind. And I recognize that sometimes the mind is harder than the achy, grouchy body. Because the mind is this constant worrying of negative thoughts and past events and mistakes and doubts. But I think we can find joy even within all of that. Joy that we have this thinking mind that our meditation practice allows us to still the thoughts of, to calm the fluctuations of. Feel the joy in that. Breathing in, I experience joy in my mind. Breathing out, I experience joy in my mind. And then finally, I want to go to one more spot within us. It's one that sometimes borrows us a little bit of trouble if we're not careful. And it's our emotions. There's an entire layer of our being that has to do with the emotional parts of us. We are feeling creatures. We love big. We hurt big. We feel. And nothing about our practice asks us not to do that. Nothing asks us to stop feeling. But it does ask us, even within the hurt or the sorrow, or whatever emotion it is that's been pricked within you today, it does ask us to find joy within it, all of them. To find joy in the fact that we feel. And then we would look upon situations, it touches us. And when we know someone is hurting, we feel it. And when we know that we've made a mistake or we've disappointed someone, we feel the sorrow for it. All of those are good and all of those are necessary. And so it's not about replacing them with joy. It's about having joy for the fact that you feel. And for the fact that your breath helps you to regulate the responses that come from those feelings. So breathing in, I experience joy in my emotions. Breathing out, I experience joy in my emotions. Breathing in, I experience joy in my emotions. Breathing out, I experience joy in my emotions. So now I would invite us all just to sit or lie wherever you are with your breath, with your body, with your mind, with your emotions, but most importantly, with your joy. Perhaps you keep a smile on your face, or just this gentle turning up of the sides of your mouth, just to remind yourself of the joy that exists within you. Some days we have to just dig a little deeper to find it. But now let's just sit, cultivate it, nurture it. Breathing in, I experience joy in my being. Breathing out, I experience joy in my being. Breathing in, I experience joy in my being. Breathing out, I experience joy in my being. Patanjali says that this practice is determined by the rate at which we practice and the joy that we bring to it. Let's continue to just nurture and cultivate and tap into the joy within. And the next time you show up for your meditation time, wherever that is, collectively here on your own, wherever you find yourself, start with joy. Just think about what an honor it is to get to pause, to be, to breathe, and to embrace all the parts of you, the full being. And sometimes the joy in the body will be stronger, and then the mind will come along. Sometimes the emotions will have the joy, and then your body begins to come along, and eventually you'll find this wholeness of being, this lightness of spirit, this joy of your practice. Namaste.